The reality is that 90% of startups fail. This can be due to money running out, being in the wrong market, a lack of research, ineffective marketing, or many other combinations of factors. But how do some startups thrive? Think of companies like Facebook, Uber, or MailChimp, who all managed to grow from nothing into multi-billion-dollar companies. But what did they do differently to those 90% of companies that failed? Hi friends, welcome to my channel. I'm Eva, I have an MBA and I'm here to teach you all about entrepreneurship, personal finance and lifestyle improvements that you can make to help you live a better life. I recently read this book that changed the way I think about what's needed to make a business thrive. The E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber talks about strategies that can vastly increase the chances of success through the act of creating processes and systems to manage and scale a business. The Entrepreneurial Myth. So what actually is the E-Myth? Gerber mentions that most people believe in what he calls the entrepreneurial myth. This myth is that small businesses are started by entrepreneurs risking capital to make profit. And he claims that the belief in this myth is the most important factor in the rate of small business failure. Now, how many times have you looked at a business, either one you're employed in or your local coffee shop, and think, that looks easy, I could run this so much better? Well, one of the key points talked about in the book is how understanding the technical work of a business does not mean you understand the business that does that technical work. In fact, when starting a business, you automatically have to wear 3 hats: the entrepreneur, the manager, and the technician. The entrepreneur provides the vision, creativity, and energy that drives the business. The manager is pragmatic and translates the vision into reality through planning and systems. The technician is the doer who produces a product or service. Think of an engineer or baker. As a small business owner, you're going to have to juggle these 3 hats. This is where a lot of problems can start to happen. Maybe you'll drop a hat or overlook something else, especially if you're working 14-hour days to try to cover all the work of these 3 hats. Now, most people start off as a technician in the industry they're working in currently. They're the ones doing the work every single day. Then one day they're hit with the entrepreneurial dream, where they think, I'm an expert in this. What if I went out on my own and started my own business selling this? It could be anything from engineering to consulting or baking to ceramics creation. They know how to do the work, so how much harder can running the rest of the business be? This thinking is how most small businesses are started. They're not usually started by entrepreneurs who find gaps in the market, but rather by technicians that are hit with the entrepreneurial dream. Michael Gerber argues that new business owners typically fail because they focus on technical expertise rather than developing business knowledge. They mistakenly think that knowing how to do a specific thing, such as baking pies, is all it takes to make a business work. But there's much more to it. The important thing isn't what's produced, but how it's produced. The business itself is the product. So what can you do to make sure that your business doesn't fall into a large percentage of those that fail? The turnkey revolution. Well, firstly, let's discuss the typical phases that a business will go through as it grows. A business will typically go through 3 phases: infancy, adolescence, and maturity. In the infancy phase, the owner wears their technician hat, and the business is mostly driven by what the owner wants, rather than what the customers need. In adolescence, the owner hires a technician to offload work to, although problems can occur if the owner overworks the technician. In maturity, the owners know where they're going and how they'll get there. It's possible to skip the first 2 phases and jump straight into maturity, but this requires understanding and a plan. At each of these stages, it's possible for a business to fail as the owner is overworked, puts too much pressure on their employees, and doesn't have a solid plan for the business. If the business survives infancy, the owner will typically hire another technician to do some of the work. What happens a lot of the time is that the owner realizes how good it is to hand over work and not have to worry about it. So at first they give the new employee the accounting books, then they're also answering the phones, taking orders, training new hires, and the list goes on, until that new employee is so overworked that they quit. The owner, who now hasn't had any oversight in all those jobs for months, now panics. At this point, the business can go in one of 3 directions. It shrinks and it goes back to infancy, it keeps growing without a plan, or it goes into survival mode. Going back to infancy occurs because the owner remembers how much easier it was back then. They knew how to do everything themselves and no one was getting anything wrong. What will usually happen is things will deteriorate, and like hundreds of thousands of businesses each year, they'll throw in the towel and give up. The second option is that they go all out and try to grow as fast as they can. This strategy can look deceptively promising because as they build momentum, it looks like they're doing really well, until they crash and burn because they don't have a strong underlying foundation. Going all out without fixing the underlying issues will cause the problems to be magnified by the pace of growth. Demand will exceed production capacity and the business will collapse. The third option is that they go into survival mode. This is where they keep pushing through and getting themselves and their employees to work at their extremes. This will cause burnout and ultimately lead to the business failing. So instead of going down one of these 3 paths to failure, what you should focus on is to create a plan by learning new skills and stepping out of your comfort zone. What usually holds a business from growing is the limitations of the owner's skills, knowledge, and passion. As your business grows, you need to grow with it. You can do this by understanding the business processes, having clear objectives, and developing a plan for how to get there. You need to decide on how you want your business to grow by answering questions like, what are my goals and how quickly do I plan to reach them? How much capital will I need to reach my goals? How many people do I need to hire and what work will they do? How much space will I need in 6 months, 2 years, 10 years? The key here is to visualize your dreams and create a plan for achievement. Creating the business from an entrepreneurial perspective helps you focus on the business and how it works, as opposed to just what it does. The next step to your business planning is the franchise movement. The franchise movement is changing the way we do business, who goes into business, how they do it, and the likelihood of their survival. This idea is based on the concept of franchising a business, which Gerber claims to be more effective and a less painful route compared to individually starting a business. This movement started in the 1950s when a milkshake machine salesman walked into a hamburger restaurant owned by the McDonald brothers. He saw how the brothers were able to teach high school students to produce identical burgers each time. As you might have guessed, this is where McDonald's originated from. The concept of franchising wasn't new, but the idea of creating a business format franchise was. This is where the owner teaches the business format, including marketing, selling, inventory, finance, and personal procedures to the franchisee. The franchise movement provides a turnkey model for how to develop a successful business that aspiring business owners can follow and emulate to achieve success. In fact, this model was so successful that from 1971 to 1987, less than 5% of franchises failed compared to the 80% failure rate for independently owned businesses. Using this model doesn't mean that the business must be franchised to other owners. It just helps to provide a framework for how the business operates. So how can you implement this into your business? You need to make sure that you're working on your business and not in your business. You need to pretend that your business is a model for hundreds or thousands of stores just like it. If you want to achieve success, there are 6 key rules to follow. 1. The model will provide consistent value to your customers, employees, suppliers, lenders beyond what they expect. What is value here? Value is reflected in things like the way you greet your customers and reward employees, the price of your product or service, or the time you spend answering your customers' questions. 2. The model will be operated by people with the lowest possible level of skill. If you require highly skilled people, then you'll have a hard time filling positions, you'll have to pay them much more, and your model will be harder to reproduce. You should aim to have the lowest level of skill possible for the position. So for example, if you're running a law practice, you still need to make sure that the lawyers are qualified, but you might hire a graduate instead of someone with 40 years of experience. 3. The model will stand out as a place of impeccable order. There's chaos everywhere in the world, so creating a place that appears organized will give your customers, employees, and suppliers the confidence that it can deliver the results they want. 4. All work in the model will be documented in operations manuals. Documentation provides employees with clarity, explains the purpose of the work, the steps to do it, and the standards that must be met. Without documentation, everyone creates their own processes and standards. 5. The model will provide a uniformly predictable service to the customer. Customers must receive the same type of service no matter what location they go to. If they don't know what to expect, they'll stop coming back. 6. The model will utilize a uniform color, dress, and facilities code. Everything including the office design, dress code, business cards, signs, and printed material should be coordinated. The look can impact how a customer reacts to the business, so this should look professional and be research-based. If you can get these 6 key rules right, then your business is likely to succeed. The final part is the business development process. This has the power to transform any small business into an incredibly effective organization, and it has 7 distinct steps. 1. Your primary aim. First, you need to consider your own primary goal in life. What do you value most? What kind of life do you want? Who do you want to be? You need to know where you're going in life in order for your business to contribute to that goal. 2. Your strategic objective. This is a very clear statement of what your business must ultimately do for you to achieve your primary aim. There are a few key things to include as part of this. The first is your financial goals. How big is your vision? Will it be a $100,000 company, $500,000, $1 million or bigger? Then next is an opportunity worth pursuing. This means a business that solves a problem that a large number of customers face. 3. Your organizational strategy. You need to make sure that you have an organizational chart This helps to create lines of communication and separates work tasks to ensure that someone is responsible for each item that needs to be completed. To create this, you'll need to list every possible position that will be needed once your business is fully evolved. You'll need to do each job yourself to determine the duties, results, and standards. Then you'll need to write out an operations manual and position description for each. 4. Your management strategy. This is your operating philosophy and reflects why and how you do what you do. It's the way you communicate your operating philosophy to your customers. This could be knowing a customer's favorite type of coffee and serving it with breakfast each morning, or lighting a fire in their hotel room. 5. Your people strategy. You can't just get people to do what you want. You need to create an environment where they feel that doing what needs to be done is important. You can achieve this by sharing the purpose of the work, creating opportunities for employees to be recognized, making achieving the business's purpose fun, and keeping it interesting. 6. Your marketing strategy. This begins and ends with your customers. Forget what you want and focus on what the customer wants. You need to make sure that you know who your prime customer is, their demographics, and why they buy, their psychographics. And 7, your system strategy. Every element of your business is part of a system. A system is a set of things, actions, ideas, and information that interact with each other, and in doing so, alter other systems. There are 3 main types of systems. Hard systems, for example, using whiteboards in your meetings or your office design. Soft systems, which involve people and ideas, for example, verbal and written communication. And information systems, which provide data about the interaction of hard and soft systems. For example, your sales activity reports or your cash flow forecasts. Once you follow all of these steps, you'll have developed a business that can be replicated over and over again. It'll have a high chance of survival and be a space in which to learn and grow. Just remember to not only look at your business from the lens of a technician, but from the lens of an entrepreneur. Let me know in the comments below what your favorite strategy is for developing a successful business. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. It really helps my channel. If you've gone this far and you want to see more, consider subscribing. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.